streaming now, FYI.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Always. That was always his motion.
Much like you, John.
We each
We each have our duties.
It's a YouTube channel.
No, I didn't expect it. They can't speak.
This is what she had sent me the picture. Said, can I post this? And I said, thanks for checking. It's not official yet. Wait until I put it on the town website. That would be more appropriate to share. So then I let her know. So she was posting the same day the Hot 46 group was posting her thing. That's where the confusion came from.
Wyatt.
Michael.
That's where the run comes by. She's smart. Just don't hesitate anything.
No, I'm just both of us. Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance. Right.
And that's what
We're trying to rob. No, no.
I mean, enough of it. And it does make it sound
I could. Some parents today. Yeah, I didn't think about program. And I canceled on it because
Yes, this is Google.
but
If you just
life is
Google, it's called Google.
so
And I have one on my phone.
well, because it knows.
I haven't given any credit. I haven't given my license.
Seriously? Oh yeah. Yes.
How are you?
We used to talk about, point.
I bet he could.
Yeah.
I bet he doesn't. He might.
That's true.
Talk about
Yeah. True. I'm nervous about a moderator.
She's here.
Oh, good.
Huh? No. Jay could take the minutes. I'll moderate.
That's true.
All right.
Yeah, I mean,
I was gonna say, you should warn her about bad companions. Oh, okay, all right. That's called cerebral bowling. I always do that now.
Chan, remember when we used to have 300 at the annual town meeting?
At the elementary school.
Yeah, that was awesome. Those were good meetings.
And it was good conversation.
Yeah, it was really
There's
good.
always a couple that had to get up and
Yep, yeah,
against it.
yeah, yeah.
The woman who lived up by Southbridge Line, Rutan,
Laura Monahan's sister,
Buchanan,
Connie Rutanen. Oh, yeah.
Mr. Bob Hyde. They love coming to meetings and telling you you're all wrong.
Is it all set up? I can just talk. Is it through?
I know you like.
Good evening. Oh, we're not using the round one?
Thank you.
Good evening.
Switch.
Good evening.
Switch.
I did.
Good evening. Those of you just coming in, make sure you stop at the table, grab the notice of town meeting and the explanatory text regarding the vote on the referendum next week. And we'll be starting in just a few minutes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Judy Wahlberg, and we'll start our special town meeting. I would like to ask for a motion to dispense with the reading of the notice.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you for that. Our next order of business is to choose a moderator, and I would like to ask for nominations for a moderator. Mary? Okay, we have a motion for Ron Adeletta.
Second.
There's a second. Thank you, Dave.
That was Mike.
And are there any other nominations? There being none, all in favor of Ron Adeletta serving as moderator, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed?
I hope that affirmation is as strong at the end of the meeting. that we will not be voting tonight on items 2, 3, or 4. Those are open for discussion, so we will take questions. And because of the number of people here, we normally give it a 2-minute per person commentary. But because of the passion over this, Judy and I talked about it, and we're going to give you 3 minutes to talk. So I've got my timer up here, so we'll time people. And if I ask you to wrap it up because you're coming to the end of your time, I hope you'll respect that. Other housekeeping, please address all motions or all comments to the moderator, not to each other unless specifically addressed. If, for example, I ask somebody in the front row to answer a question, then that conversation can go back and forth between one of our leaders here and the rest of the community. And I believe that's it. So, item number 2 pertains to the absolving the ordinance, resolving Prop 46. So are there any comments or concerns that anybody wants to bring up regarding that?
Dawn?
Yes.
Motion.
Oh, I need a motion to that. Yes, from Megan Bard. Is there a second? From Joseph Adaletta. Thank you. And in case I'm not married to you or a neighbor, could you say your name? So now that we have the motion on the floor, which we will vote on, all in favor of item number 2, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Are there any abstaining? Okay. And as you know, it's already been sent to referendum, but are there any questions on that? Suzanne?
I wondered if the town finance people could give us a short synopsis of what our next year's budget looks like. We all, I think, are aware that there are some unusual increments like town debt and the need to fund EMS. But could somebody with authority, if they're at that point, just give us a little picture of what does it really look like?
For those of you streaming in from YouTube, in case you didn't hear the question was from Suzanne Woodward asking if somebody from the Board of Finance would give a thumbnail sketch of what they are thinking the next year's budget would look like. And Mr. Dougherty.
Thank you for being here.
I don't think I need that. Right now, unfortunately, we're probably looking at the equivalent of about 1.2 mils in additional to this year's budget. That's based on the information we have now. The importance of this meeting and the referendum on the 9th is so that we know what we're going to be working with, because we will get our first official budget presentations on March 14th. The following week, the 21st, we will get another presentation on the budgets, and at that time, we will also receive all the information as to incoming revenue. And then we'll be able to work on where we're going with the budget. But actual fixed numbers, we don't really have any fixed numbers. They're all in fluctuation at this time, but you're probably looking at somewhere, at a minimum, of about $1.1 million, based at 1.2 mils. Yeah, and that would be what would be available under the Prop 46 cap. Does that answer your question?
It does, but I guess I'm more concerned also about what do we see that's necessary above them.
We don't have that information right now. That's based on the numbers that have been going around, tentative numbers for EMS, for the school special education, for the school transportation, what we need to increase for our debt service. The other numbers, some of the departments haven't even got their budgets in yet, so we really don't know. They're struggling with that.
So for instance, you have not put into that equation normal contractual obligations like raises and all of that stuff?
No, that is not
Stuff that
included.
just is normal every year isn't even in there.
Correct.
Okay, just curious.
What's that?
Are there any other questions for the Board of Finance? Or the Selectmen? You in the back, please. Mr. Tyler, could you come up here and use the mic so that everyone can hear you?
Kinda loud, but I can do it if you want.
Can everybody hear Mr. Tyler?
Dawn, they need it
We want you to come up so that the people who are
online.
online or YouTube can hear you. What's up?
I'm somewhat familiar with the Proposition 46, but I guess my question is, what sort of percent are we getting from the state, federal grant money, and what do we anticipate this coming year? I don't know if that's kind of where you were coming in there or not, but we're asking to come up with a budget, but what money are we going to be getting? And has it been going down every year, or I guess that would be my question.
All right.
That's one of a few questions, but I'll start you with that one.
Well, to answer that question, yes, the grants from the state have been dropping each year. We haven't got the official numbers yet from the state, and of course, even when they say this is what you're gonna get this year, we can't count on that until the budget is passed, and that could be in September. So we have to go on good faith when we get a number from the state. Right now, for instance, what we had budgeted for in the current year's budget was about $4,990,000 for the Board of Ed ECS grant. We already know, right now, their projection is we're gonna lose $128,000 there
Next year.
in next year's budget, correct?
All right, so that's kind of what I expected. But my next question would be, just to be clear here, if we overturn Proposition 46, the people of this town still have a decision as to whether or not we accept a budget. So I myself, who might be a little more on the conservative side financially, can vote on a budget that does not have anything to do with Proposition 46. Meaning, if you come to the town and say we want to increase the budget by $300,000, whatever it is, I'm just throwing a number out. The people of this town can still vote that budget down, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So we're just getting rid of arbitrary cap that we can eliminate so that we can move forward and make people actually pay attention to what the town needs and maybe does not need, for that matter. Whereas people can sit back under Proposition 46 knowing that their taxes are only going to go up a certain amount and they really don't need to pay attention to what the town needs or how it's been doing. Let's say that.
That's the way it's been understood, but that's not always true also.
Okay.
If you'd like an example, I can give you one.
Sure. I'm in front here, but
All right, in last year's, this current year's budget was based on the prior year's reevaluation, and that's what we had to base it on. What we actually were allowed to spend, because of the way Proposition 46 reads, is either the lesser of the previous year's budget or the lesser of the average of the 3 prior years. So that left us with $547,615 that we were allowed to spend. We put that out there at the maximum, and people turned it down. We put it out there again at $50,000 less, and they said, oh my God, they've cut the budget. if we don't vote for it now, they're gonna cut it more. And that's the only way we can go. When you're at the max, you can't go anywhere but lower. But if you have a higher cap, you have a lot more area to work with. Last year, because of reevaluation, even though we only spent $497,615,000 after the $50,000 reduction, the average person in this room's taxes still went up 5.65%, and that's after we dropped the mill rate by 4.65 or 18.25%. So again, that doesn't show Prop 46 working to solve that problem.
Well, I got a little note here that says, last question, so.
Maybe I'm talking too long. I'm
No,
using the time.
that's fine. I guess the last thing I'll say is, my last child graduates high school this year. And so I have every reason, in a selfish way, to keep things the same. Because then I know that my taxes only go up a certain amount. Guaranteed. Not gonna go higher.
Not true.
Not true.
I just explained that.
That's part of what he said.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't understand you, obviously. That being said, among my, sorry about my misunderstanding, but I believe that in the best interests of the town, based on where we sit in per pupil expenditures, if I understand that correctly, we're very low in terms of the state, but yet we're about average in terms of income. I would be very much in favor of eliminating Proposition 46 and putting it in the hands of the voters as to whether or not the budget presented is appropriate. And I say that as an individual who is more on the conservative side financially and voting wise. But I think in terms of this town, if we're going to, I don't know, waste money, that's terrible to say, but waste money, I'd rather have it happen in this town than federal government tax money. And that's not really a question, but I guess I'm all done.
And that's part of the difference.
That's all right.
Does anybody else have a question or comment? Okay, the next item on the agenda that is going to be adjourned to referendum is the we'll move to the moratorium next. So we need a motion to go forward with the vote on the moratorium of 46. Can I have a motion for that, please? A motion. Thank you. Is there a second for that? Megan Bard for the second. And we will vote on that, although we don't need to vote on that.
Just discussion.
Just discussion, okay. So is there discussion about doing just a moratorium on 46? None here? None, okay. Then the final thing that is being adjourned to referendum is the expenditure that will go to the academy for their capital expenses. Is there a motion to proceed with going to referendum on that? Jessica Weaver Bruce, and is there a second? Thank you. Is there any discussion on that? Okay, so this meeting will be shorter than I anticipated. So finally, we have something that we can vote on, may vote on tonight, and that is item number 5, which is to repeal an ordinance that enables the selectmen at their own discretion to dispose of land that was town property and acquired through the foreclosure of tax liens or abandoned by highways. Is there a motion to accept that vote? Thank you. And is there a second for that? Megan again, because I don't know the lady behind the mask. Okay, and is there any discussion on that? And everybody's clear on what that means and what that does? Yes, sir.
The benefit of doing this was what?
It's been on the books since 1956, and over the past few years, the Board of Selectmen has asked, and a number of committees in town have been working on a broader policy on how to convey town-owned properties, and that's what we'll be voting on next. We voted to accept one a few years ago, and we're cleaning it up again one more time. So the town will still be able to convey land that it owns should the town choose, except now it will go to all of us voting and not just the 3 people who happen to be select persons that year.
So it does not have to go through a tax bidding process?
Well, that's explained in the next vote. Okay, so but this vote is getting rid of that outdated permission that enabled the Board of Selectmen to decide on their own to sell or convey to whomever town-owned land.
So the deed in lieu would be simpler than a tax foreclosure?
No, it has nothing to do with whether or not the land would be foreclosed. So if you're not paying tax on your land, it could still be foreclosed on. It's just now the whole town gets to vote on what to do with it as opposed to just the selectmen. Okay? Any other questions pertaining to that particular ordinance? Many thanks to all the committees that worked on that. We have a motion on the floor and a second, so all in favor of repealing the ordinance concerning foreclosure of land, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed to that? Okay, the motion is passed. And then second, this is the long resolution, and you all have copies of that, so I'm not going to read that aloud. We ask for permission to avoid that, but various committees, mostly the Conservation Commission, has worked hard to look at the safest, fairest way to convey property should the town, or the Board of Selectmen, or the Conservation Commission advise conveying such a parcel, and make that transition as public as possible, so that that everybody knows what's going on. There is an item in there that says that if the parcel is less than a half an acre, the Board of Selectmen can do that on their own. So we don't have to have a lot of meetings, and big town meetings, if all they're doing is getting rid of a right-of-way on somebody's property. Does anybody have any questions about this particular ordinance? Yes, sir, and I don't know your name, I'm sorry.
Mike Bartels.
Mike Bartels, okay.
Could you just explain what the open space fund is? And what the goal of that program would be?
Yeah, the open space fund is actually a line item in our budget, and it is used specifically to purchase land for the town, for town use, or to help purchase the development rights from farmers, or other people that are selling development rights. We work in connection with state and the federal agencies providing money. So usually when the town has, actually now that I'm thinking about it, every time that the town has used that money, we've leveraged it by having it more than matched with state and local funds. It makes it easier for farmers who wish to go into the PDR program, the program where they sell their development rights and permanently protect their farms from development, because the state recognizes that Woodstock is serious about protecting agricultural land because it has this fund. It's been in existence since 2000, I believe it is, and has protected over 1,000 acres of farm town. And the only thing the money in that fund can be used for is the protection of land, outright purchase, or the purchase of development rights. Yes, ma'am. Oh.
She-
motion.
Yes?
And a second?
I'm sorry, we had that, but it was from,
We did.
yeah,
On this one?
yeah,
I made the motion.
right, and Megan or my history
That was number
lady.
5.
Okay, thank you for correcting me. Okay, so do we have a motion for number 6?
So moved.
Thank you, yes, it was Jean, right, Jean and,
Oh.
yes.
No, Jean was on 4.
Okay, so now we've got Jean and Les. Okay,
Yes,
thank you. All right,
thank you.
so I want that same warm feeling of affirmation in this meeting. So now we're ready to vote on this, correct?
Yes.
Unless
Yes.
there's more
Unless
questions.
there are more questions, any more discussion on the ordinance itself? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay, thank you. The motion has passed. The final thing on our agenda is a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr.
Okay.
Valley.
Thank you.
You're our new first select over this assembly. So thank you.
And Dawn, if you just make an announcement about the referendum.
Okay, and don't forget that on March 9th, there's the referendum from noon to 8 o'clock at Town Hall. So show up. Absentee ballots will be starting available.
I don't have them yet.
We don't have them yet. So come vote.
Hopefully tomorrow.